Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, I think it is somewhat sensitive to that, and we've got various events coming up. We've got the Scottish referendum in September, and then the general election next year. I mean, and I think Labour has established a position where many in the business community, and people have different views and different political affiliations, but they are regarding with some alarm, and it depends which sector you're in, the prospect of a Labour government, and that hasn't happened for 20 years or so. I mean, back at the last time I think business really feared a Labour government was probably in 1992 when Neil Kinnock was the Labour leader, and then we had the New Labour era, and fairly business-friendly, Tony Blair, particularly in the Blair years. So those fears are back. I mean, and it could be a problem. I mean, we're already seeing in the energy sector, warnings of cancelled investment, the return to a 50% tax rate, even though it's at a very high level of income, I think sends out a signal that we are, this is a government which is not really interested in personal economic success and so on. So all those things, all those messages, I think are exactly the opposite messages you'd be wanting to send out internationally and to companies operating within the UK. Now, what often happens, and I don't think it would happen on a 50% rate, I think that they would have to do that. What often happens is that governments do slightly different things in office than they've said they will in opposition. They're not often they're not as bad as they've been painted. But I think if people begin to fear a Labour government, people in the business community begin to fear it and respond to it, I don't think it will stop the recovery, but it could certainly slow it. And I think there will be a period of electoral uncertainty, and we haven't really had that for a while. I mean, one of the things which I think is probably the coalition, and David Cameron is I mean, I wasn't particularly a fan of David Cameron before the election, but I think in recognizing that there was a kind of national interest in not doing what many of his supporters said, which was to have a minority government in 2010 and maybe have another election 6 months later and hope to get a majority. But in forming the coalition, I think he was behaving in the national interest, because it was a time of great economic uncertainty. To add a lot of political uncertainty to that, I think could have been really damaging. So, and political uncertainty is always potentially threatening. So I think it could have an impact. As I say, I don't think it will derail, but I think it could slow recovery.